Alrighty, y'all. I'm kind of doing like a little bridge video because I didn't get as far in the classes as I needed to get up to the spot where I start talking about the rise of nation states. So this is kind of like part 1.5 between exploration, the what we did in class today, and what the video you guys are being asked to watch at home is. So I'm recording this here during lunch, and I'm going to go ahead and just take you guys and make this little bridge and post this for you guys later. So yeah, call this, like I said, part 1.5 because it's kind of of you in first, and I think at least one other class did already see this video. So this is about the Renaissance, or as we call it in Texas, the Renaissance Festival. Now, this was literally a rebirth of learning, right? That's what the word Renaissance means, is a rebirth of classical learning. By classical, we mean the knowledge that the Romans had, the knowledge that the Greeks had, Aristotle and all that great stuff. Plato was like rediscovered, and through the printing press, it was now suddenly available to people. Now, the Renaissance began in Florence. Here you see the Duomo. Florence, y'all, is one of those cities that I hope in your life you get to visit. Please make sure you do. I've only gotten to go twice, and I would love to go more again. It's just amazing. It's up there with Rome, Paris, London, as places you guys need to visit. But anyway, y'all, there were scientists and artists during the Renaissance. I know you guys have probably heard a lot of these people. The great artist Leonardo, for example. Oh, okay, man. Well, that's the wrong Leonardo. That's what happens when you do a search online, man. You get these guys. Anyway, that's Leonardo DiCaprio. It's the real Leonardo right here. Okay, not nearly as attractive, but hey, Leonardo may look like that guy eventually. This guy was brilliant. I personally don't think he was probably from this planet. He was just too doggone smart. But scientists came up with all kinds of ideas for inventions. I mean, even things like, helicopters and tanks and things like that. We didn't have the technology to build them, but he came up with them. And then there were artists like the man who did this statue, the artist Michelangelo. Now, Michelangelo, y'all, was a great artist, painter, of course, famous for the Sistine Chapel, but really he was more of a sculptor. And the story of this painting, the David, is very, very, or this sculpture, the David, is very interesting. What I remember hearing in Florence was he saw, well, there was this enormous thing of marble, like it was 9 foot or something foot tall, and everybody wondered who was going to be able to do a statue on it. Well, or out of it, and he did. And he said he didn't really so much sculpt as he freed statues from the rock that surrounded them. And what these guys like Leonardo, Michelangelo did was encourage a new curiosity about the unknown, about the future, about the world that really had not been there before. Many people back in my childhood called the Middle Ages, or at least part of them, they called them the Dark Ages. But because we're politically correct today and we don't want those dead people to feel bad about themselves, hurt their self-esteem, I like to call them the light challenged ages. But anyway, y'all, there was not as much interest in book learning. There were monks who were writing the stuff all down, but the average person wasn't or didn't have access to this or interest in it. So what begins to happen during the Renaissance, which is going to directly, you know, be and lead into this age of exploration, is man begins to focus on the secular world. Secular, y'all, means this world, not the spiritual world of the future. Now, during the Middle Ages, which were pretty doggone bad, people had really focused on not this life, but the promised life in heaven or wherever, right? And they didn't do a whole lot or spend a lot of their time trying to make things better here. And during the Renaissance, you start seeing people being more focused on this world with inventions, trying to make life better and enjoyable, and that kind of thing. And of course, if we're talking the Renaissance, don't forget Donatello, don't forget Raphael, or the rest of the Teenage Ninja Turtles. Now, I'm going to take this slide, add it to the other presentation that I've made, and I will be putting this up a little bit later as sort of the bridge. So please review your notes from today, review and make sure you guys finish that Native American chart. And watch that video that I'm doing on that I've already put up that goes over Columbus and some other things for you guys that take you through like the rise of the nation state and all that. Remember, you got that district test tomorrow. I want you to do well on it. You guys read that first chapter in AMSCO that I've already posted as an update. You get that read, especially if you read pages 7 to like 13 or whatever. You guys will knock that test out of the park tomorrow. I'm pretty sure of it. Okay. I talked about this in first period. There, you just heard the gunpowder go off. Yeah, sorry, there's Beavis and Butthead there. In fact, I probably should change here. Let me switch to, you can hear, more likely hear the videos if I switch to my computer speakers here. But anyway, y'all, so during the Crusades, one of the other things that the Europeans had brought back was gunpowder. Of course, like everything invented by the Chinese. So along with guns, germs, and steel, you get gunpowder, right? And along with disease, and of course, the steel armor and the weapons, this is going to allow Europeans like the conquistadors to go ahead and prevail easily over the Native Americans. As I've said before, imagine what it was like. I mean, the only thing equivalent would be like an alien that could like point at you and blow you up into pieces. Imagine pointing what looks like a limb at somebody and then suddenly a hole appearing in that person. You don't even see the bullet going. And of course, the steel was pretty much impervious to the weapons that most of the Native Americans had. Maritime advances. This is specifically mentioned on your AP curriculum. There are various new navigational aids. Maritime advances. Maritime, think mar, meaning sea, or mer, meaning sea in French. But anyway, so some of those inventions were like the compass. Here you see an example of a compass. And compass, of course, points north, so you would know what direction you're going. When you're out on the sea, you can't exactly say, well, turn right at the 5th wave. It's hard, right? So anyway, if you don't have this, it's going to turn you round and round like this guy. Okay, well, I guess that's not working. Maybe it'll play later. The astrolabe and the sextant. Now, the astrolabe worked at night using the northern star, right, Polaris, whatever. You could figure out your latitude, how far north of the equator that you were. And this was also important, right, especially with the invention of the maps that would come later. The sextant worked during the daytime. And of course, this allowed sailors to figure out where they were much more accurately than they had ever been able to do. So yeah, without a compass. Yeah, you get spun around if you don't have a compass. All right, there you go. The other invention is the invention of the caravel. This came from Portugal, although probably directly from others as well too. Well, he's still around. Crisscross. Now the caravel, y'all, allowed you to angle your sails more and allowed you to sail more directly into the wind. Columbus, as you can see on my tie here, Columbus came with 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, as you'll hear in the other video. The Nina and Pinta made it back. Santa Maria, not a caravel. Says a lot, right? And of course, it's important for people to, know that they got a good chance getting back if you want them to work for you. So through a process known as tacking, you're able to sail not directly into the wind, but kind of diagonally into the wind. I never believed it until, I was doing windsurfing in college. And then my wife and I, we were really big into sailing when we first met. And I had to learn how to tack a sailing boat to get us, back. Anybody can sail with the wind behind you, right? Okay, cartography also improved. And you guys should know cartography is the science of map making. The early maps, y'all, were just awful. Check out this one. I mean, it looks like a T-Rex here. Like, okay, around the 3rd vertebrae, you're going to make a left. I mean, these things were awful, not very useful at all. That's the Huygens map, okay? And of course, the Renaissance maps begin to start getting a whole lot more accurate. This is later than the Renaissance, obviously, because it does map a lot of the world that was discovered in the 1700s or whatever. But now with the printing press, maps were much more available. Columbus could buy them, for example. They were cheaper. There was more distribution. Here you go. This is a map of all the world before Columbus. Man, you got the winds up here. Look at this. I mean, Africa is a mess. I mean, and India is an island. Vietnam over here, well, that's not too bad. Or maybe that's Japan. It's kind of hard to tell the way it's shaped. And of course, they have no idea where you and I are over here, what that is. Now, I've mentioned the printing press. The printing press comes around in the mid 1400s, a little later than I had probably thought or suggested earlier here. But Johannes Gutenberg, a German, was the first to invent this. And of course, originally it too came from the Chinese. But the Chinese, y'all, theirs required you to carve in wood basically the whole page that you were going to use. It was not reusable. What was different about Gutenberg was that you could make letters, individual letters, and then those letters could be reused again and again. You put the letters in, and I had to do this when I was in school in Canada. We had to actually do some printing using that, and of course, there's a legacy of that today. You guys have heard the term upper and lowercase. Uppercase means all capital letters. Lowercase means smaller letters, right? You and I use those terms quite a bit. It came from the old printing press days. You kept the capital letters in the uppercase where you kept all your metal letters, right? And you kept the small letters in the lowercase down here to do it, okay? This, of course, made it cheaper to produce books and also, of course, spread the knowledge about discoveries and voyages. I mean, Columbus wouldn't have been possible without the printing press, y'all. Have a great day, y'all. It's Thursday, woo, or also known as Friday's Eve.